Shows the country of Ireland. To the west is the Atlantic Ocean, and to the east is the United Kingdom. For the purpose of this project, we chose to focus only on the country of Ireland and excluded Northern Ireland. The flag of Ireland is tricolor and was gifted to the Irish by a French woman who was sympathetic to their move towards independence. This independence from the UK was in part due to a lack of representation in Parliament, but also religious differences, which is where the inspiration for the flag came from. Green is representative of Catholics, and orange is for Protestants. The white in the middle is peace and unity between the two religions. Moving to the West region, there are 3 counties in this region, which are Mayo, Roscommon, and Galway. In County Galway is Connemara National Park, which is in Letterfrack, which is this nearest town over here. And this park sees about 250,000 visitors annually and is one of 6 national parks in Ireland. Their government just approved €2 million to go towards improving walking trails in these parks about 3 weeks ago. One of their most popular trails right now is the Diamond Loop, which goes around this mountain here, and you get views such as this when you reach the top. Some of the other features of this park is their mountain blanket bogs. Bogs are very popular in Ireland. In this region specifically, there is the Atlantic blanket bog and mountain blanket bog. And because of their existence, there is a high biodiversity, predominantly in the diversity of bird life, along with other animals as well. So you'll see this throughout the park. Okay, so there is County Galway, but there is also the City of Galway, and that is where we are headed next. This city is right along the ocean, so there are no extreme temperatures and large amounts of precipitation happen throughout the year. The average is about 46 inches annually. We'll go into downtown Galway. This is one of the main streets through downtown. It is popular for restaurants, shopping, and of course pubs. They also have a distillery that won the gold medal for Irish whiskey throughout all of Ireland a couple years ago, which is called Sunny Malloy's. It's just right up this street here. As well, Galway is known for the Claddagh Ring. And this is a picture I took on my trip to Galway a few years ago. Now, they are known for the original Claddagh, this shop specifically, and the namesake comes from a neighborhood on the bank of River Corrib, which you can see when we back out. It is right down here along the edge. And the Claddagh Ring is typically given by a mother to her daughter, and depending on which hand you wear it, it symbolizes essentially a relationship status, but it is a tradition throughout there, so it's very common to see them. And now we will move on to the Aran Islands. off the coast of Galway and Doolin, there are these 3 islands you see here. And we will zoom in a little bit. As you can see, each of the islands has its own name. It is the Inishmore, and these 2 over here. The names are in Irish, so I am not totally sure if I pronounced that correctly. So all of the residents on these islands are fluent in Irish. There are about 1,200 residents for all the islands combined. The language Irish is different than Gaelic, just a distinction to be made. And Irish is their first language, but they all do speak English as well due to the connectivity with the mainland now. So this is a view that you can see, I believe, from the largest island here. In the background, there are the Cliffs of Moher, which is down south in Shannon. As you can see, these homes are where the population lives. The population is actually dying out right now. Younger generations are moving to Ireland or even further abroad for education and job opportunities. So there's actually a worry that the population and the Irish language will die out in the next generation or so. In the way of pop culture, scenes of the 2010 Amy Adams movie Leap Year were shot on these islands. And then we will look at the coastline of these islands. As you can see, there's a very steep drop off on parts of it. It is not as much of a drop on the far end that is along the coastline in this photo, or along the horizon in this photo. But the steep drop-offs can get up to 70 meters high, and they're caused by the continual waves from the Atlantic Ocean. It has eroded the coast. And lastly, these islands are known for their sweaters. These are merino wool sweaters. They're very heavy and very warm. Most of the sweaters are no longer made on the islands. Now they're made on mainland Ireland, but they still hold the namesake. These sweaters come with their own authentication papers, so they are taken very seriously as a representation for Irish craft. And that wraps up the West region.
Is the city of Dublin, which is the Republic of Ireland's capital. It was originally founded along the River Liffey in the 19th century as a Viking trading settlement. Dublin is a maritime temperate climate. Due to its proximity to the ocean, Dublin is cool and humid throughout the year. The coldest months are January and February, with an average temperature of 42 degrees Fahrenheit. During the summer months of July through August, the warmest temperature average is 68 degrees Fahrenheit. The months of June through August are ideal for visiting this lovely city. The current population of Dublin is approximately 1.2 million with a growth rate of 1.14%. Dublin is home to nearly 25% of Ireland's slowly growing residents, with almost half of the populace under the age of 30. Dublin has one of Europe's youngest populations. It is a highly favored place for tourists to visit, and this is due to its fame gained from its ethnic diversity and it being home to several historic sites, such as the Dublin Zoo and the Guinness Storehouse. And on average, Dublin has over 500,000 people travel through the city center every day. Here is the Dublin Castle, and as you can see, there's an emblem in the center, and this represents sea serpents. Here is the Guinness Storehouse, which is located in the city center. And my second location is the Phoenix Park. Phoenix Park is one of Europe's largest city parks. It is located in Dublin. Dating back to 1662, it is over 1,750 acres and is home to the Dublin Zoo, Victorian People's Flower Gardens, and is the home to Ireland's president. Phoenix Park was established by James Butler, who was a Lord Lieutenant of Ireland. Then in 1745, Philip Stanhope, who served as 4th Earl of Chesterfield, opened the park to the public. The Phoenix Park is important to Dublin as it provides biodiversity. There are over 20 different habitats for wildfowl deer and over 350 plant species. About 30% of the park is covered in sycamore, chestnut, and oak trees. The Dublin Zoo is located within the park. And the zoo initially opened in 1783. In September of 1831, it is home to over 400 different kinds of animals. Another historical site is the Phoenix Monument, and it is located in the center of the park. Here is the Phoenix Monument. And the monument was constructed in the 1830s for Philip Stanhope. My third location is the Wicklow National Park. The Wicklow National Park is located south of Dublin. The park covers an area of 89.94 miles. The national park is located within the Wicklow Mountains, which it is named after. The Wicklow Mountains were formed over 400 million years ago by the cliffs of North America and Europe, which caused the land under the sea to buckle upwards. The Wicklow Mountains are recognized for its granite rock, and for centuries it has been mined. Wicklow is a marine west coast climate. The weather does not change drastically throughout the year. There is not much of a dry season. In the winter, Wicklow receives an abundant amount of precipitation, especially in the mountains. Due to Wicklow being far from the equator and poles, there is an increasing variation of the seasons. There are cool winters and warm summers. Amphibians and reptiles are common in this region due to its high moisture levels and frequent precipitation. In the park, there are deer, goats, rabbits, and various other mammals. And this is the Glendalough Upper Lake, which is one of 2 lakes located in the park. Here's a picture.
All right, so next on the tour, we're going to be looking at the Cork Kerry region of Ireland. This region, like most of the others, is a temperate oceanic climate, so CFB. It has pretty abundant rainfall in the west, which is where this area is. It's going to be about southwest of Ireland, a little peninsula that sticks out. It's going to rain about 40 to 50 inches a year. Currents in the Atlantic Ocean cause this high precipitation, so that's why in this area you're going to see that, and it's just going to be pretty common. Extreme weather is going to be really rare in this area as well, and it is a temperate forest. So the first location that I have us looking at is a beach location. So Inchstrand Beach is on the Dingle Peninsula, which is this peninsula that sticks out that you see right here. It is approximately 4 miles long, and it's a sand strip. So this is really, really popular for things like dog walking, surfing, anyone who just wants to go out and have a nice day on a beach. It is very, very beautiful. The elevation is about 21 meters, although there are some sand dunes right around here that do get a pretty high elevation, but it's still not too much of a difference. This bottom picture shows what that sand dunes look like. So again, you can see that it's not a huge difference, but it's definitely somewhat significant. This picture above is just the beach on a pretty calm day, generally what tourists are going to go out and see, as again, it is a pretty popular tourist destination. Since it is a peninsula, it does have a higher wind speed than anywhere inland or the eastern areas of Ireland, but that's just natural. The sand in this area does make it pretty difficult for plants and animals to cling to it. So you're not going to find too many species of plants and animals that you wouldn't just on regular beaches. But it is distinct in its sand dunes and the vegetation that kind of lays on those that you guys can even see from here. I'll take one last look at those pictures again, just because they are fun to look at, to just get a feel of what it's like for tourists when they go there, and why it is such a popular attraction. You can see the sky is really, really clear. Just a beautiful day out, as it is most of the time there, other than when it's raining. So this is in the Kerry region of Ireland. Now we're going to go more inland to the Cork region. And that is where we are going to find our next location, which is the Blarney Stone. The Blarney Stone, many of you have probably heard of it. It's a really, really famous tourist area, like world famous. People come from all over to see it. So Blarney itself is a city of about 2,550 people, but the location that we're looking at is going to be a castle and a stone that's in the castle, so obviously the population is not specifically for the area or the site that we're looking at. It is made of limestone rock, and the castle was built in 1446. So Google Earth doesn't provide a great image of it. You can see overhead a little bit, and it's nice to be able to look in the castle. But I do have some pictures here that I can pull up that do just show you better what these limestone castles look like. Obviously, they're very old, but they're still in really good tact, so that shows that they were just built really well. Temperatures here, like everywhere else in this area, are very temperate, ranging from about 40 to low 70s. So there is definitely a difference in seasons, but it's not too heavy. This is good for vegetation in the garden. So this area has a really, really famous garden. It dates back to the 18th century, and it has trees that date all the way back to 600 years ago. So if you just look at an overhead view, you can see how green and lush and just big this area is. People spend lots and lots of time upkeeping these gardens. So it definitely is another huge part of the tourist area. It's a huge thing that people like to come and do besides just kissing the Blarney Stone, which is what we see here. All kinds of myths and legends surround the Blarney Stone. How did it get there? Does it bring you luck? Just fun little things like that to entertain, which is why it is such a big tourist destination, because even if you don't believe in it, it's something really, really fun to check off your list. All of these pictures are from blogs. So these people themselves traveled there and took pictures of it, because it definitely is something that you want to get crossed off your list. I've had family that have gone to Ireland and kissed the Blarney Stone, and it just looks so beautiful. All of the woodland area around this that we've been talking about is home to typical woodland animals: squirrels, otters, owls, salmon, because there are water areas. If I zoom in a little bit more, see a lake right there. So it is very rich in water and just vegetation overall. The average rainfall here is about 36.1 inches. Most of the precipitation falls in October. So just like the rest of Ireland, very rainy area, which again helps for the beautiful gardens that are being made. That we see here in the trail, there's definitely a lot of time spent in this area working on those things, to help make the tourists' experience more fun. So the last place we're going to go to is going to be back west in the Kerry region, and that is going to be the Gap of Dunlow. So as we keep zooming out, we'll be able to make it back over here. So the Gap of Dunlow is a rift valley, and it was formed 25,000 years ago during Iceland's last ice age. So what happened was a glacier in Black Valley broke through the head of the gap and moved north, which carved the valley that you're seeing right now. So there are 5 big lakes in this area. There's more, but the biggest ones are Kassan, Black, Cush Valley, Auger, Black Low, and these are all going to be connected by river low. So if we zoom in a little bit, we should be able to see, yep, Cush Valley, Black Lake, Auger Lake. So those are what's going to be in this region. On the east and the west, we have McGillicuddy's Reeks Mountain Range, which is the one on the west, and then Purple Mountain Group Range in the east. So that is what the Rift Valley is going to separate. There's lots of sheep grazing that happens here, rock climbing, hiking, anything that you're going to find in any mountain valley range, because it is just so beautiful, especially with the lakes. And the heavy terrains make it great for hikers that really love hiking and want to challenge themselves. So this is an example of the Wishing Bridge, or I guess a photo of the Wishing Bridge. Really, really famous bridge. It's obviously gorgeous. Huge attraction spot in the Gap of Dunlop for tourists. Fun thing to walk around and stand on. Another piece of Ireland that you see wishing come through for, which is really fun. This is just a picture of a road that you're going to see walking through, and just how green and vast it is. It is so gorgeous with all the rocks and the vegetation and the greenery. Again, rain's a pretty decent amount here, definitely more than we get there, or more than we get in the US. And once again, pretty temperate temperatures ranging from 45 to 60s. Just another picture of, you can really see how high the elevation is. Looks like down in the lakes and rivers, it's going to be about 349 feet. And on these, it's going to get all the way up to around 1,500. So these are huge, huge mountain ranges.
All right, so we're looking at this region over here called Shannon. That kind of lines up over here. It's Shannon, or the Midwest region in Ireland, compromises of the County Clare, the County Limerick, and the County Tipperary. So you have the County Clare over here, Limerick down here, and Tipperary further over here. There's 8 major areas, cities in the Shannon area, but the entire region is pretty much bordered by the Atlantic coastline that you can see over here. So there's a lot of golden beaches and quiet coves that you can enjoy. A lot of interesting cliffs as well. There's 8 major cities. Limerick is the first. It's the only really city in the region, and so it's a transportation hub for most tourism, has all of the amenities. It's considered kind of a miniature Dublin. The second is Adair. Adair's residents claim that it's the prettiest village in all of Ireland, but it doesn't have a bypass, and so it's usually pretty choked up with traffic. But as you can see, there's a lot of cottages just like this all over there, so it is quite pretty. The next is Ennis, further up north. It's the country town of Clare. It's full of different ancient abbeys, castles, and it has an entire recreated prehistoric village. Next is Doolin, just further up here. It's right on the Atlantic coast, and so it's a really good base for exploring the Burn. We'll talk about what that is a little bit later. Next is Doolin, or Kilkee. Kilkee has a cliff called Loophead, which is almost as impressive as the cliffs of Moher, which we'll talk about later, but it's not a very popular tourist destination. Thurles has a super ornate cathedral, but the major reason why people come here is something called the Holy Cross Abbey. Next is Tipperary. This is a pretty big town, very scenic. And finally is Cashel. Which is full of different medieval sites. The weather and climate in Shannon is kind of amazing. The summers are super comfortable, partly cloudy, and the winters are kind of long, very cold and wet and windy, mostly cloudy. Over the course of the year, the temperature typically varies from 38 to 67 degrees and is rarely rarely below 30 degrees or above 75 degrees. And so it's kind of amazing. The best time of the year to visit Shannon for warm weather is late June to early September. The Köppen climate classification is maritime west climate. There's a lot of different landforms and attractions in Shannon. The first is the airport, believe it or not. And so the airport lies halfway between Ennis and Limerick. It has a pretty long history of pioneering in global aviation with the first transatlantic flight in 1945. Got a nice picture of the front of the airport over here. It was historically a pretty big refueling station for many different international carriers in the 1960s, and it has the longest runway in all of Ireland, which is 3,200 meters. So it's designated as an alternate landing strip for the U.S. Space Shuttle. So if anything ever goes wrong, the Space Shuttle can land there. The next popular attraction is Bunratty Castle. It's Ireland's most complete medieval fortress, and it was a home for the leisurely class. Pretty popular, so y'all may have seen this kind of iconic photo of Bunratty. The next is the River Shannon. So over here, the river it has a lot of very amazing views, but it's also known for being one of the easiest rivers to navigate in all of Europe because it's just kind of very slow. Next are the Cliffs of Moher that we were talking about earlier. So these are closer to the coastline. They get their name from a ruined fort named Morthar, which was demolished during the Napoleonic Wars in the early 1800s to make room for a signal tower. The cliff is about 5 miles long and 702 feet high. It's considered one of the great attractions in the region. Got a nice picture here. The cliffs are a hotspot for different kinds of flora and fauna, with as much as 20 different species of birds to be observed here. And they're also pretty popular as they've been featured in many movies, ranging from Harry Potter, The Princess Bride, to Leap Year. There's also a long list of fairy tales that are associated with the cliffs in Irish folklore, so you could look into that if you're interested. Next is the Burn. So the Burn is a 97 square mile area formed from a thickness of sedimentary rock, pretty much just limestones, but including sandstones, mudstones, and siltstones. Glaciers expanded over this area many times, and so it's renowned for its remarkable group of plants, animals, and having over 70% of Ireland's species of flowers. And as you can see, this is a nice summer picture, but it's pretty diverse in terms of plants and animals. The region supports a lot of rare different species, which can only be found here. For example, Taraxacum is a type of flower that is pretty much just unique to this area. And More than 30 different species of butterflies and moths are only present pretty much here. The burns are surrounded by limestone. Let me zoom up here so you can. So they're mostly surrounded by limestone and sandstone, as I was talking about earlier. But you can see among those cracks there's a lot of flowers and stuff. It has a long tradition with Irish music. There's a style of music called the West Clare style of playing, which is kind of unique to this area. Tourism isn't always very great for this area because there's a lot of different plants and animals, as we talked about, and since it's pretty much just seasonal, a lot of the houses and a lot of the stuff that's built isn't like very efficient, so that is kind of a problem in terms of tourism in the area. But it's still very beautiful, and the temperature is kind of unusual, where it ranges from 59 degrees Fahrenheit in July to about 43 in January. Next is the Hunt Museum over here in the city of Limerick, Ireland. One of the major attractions is called the Custom House, which you can see over here. It's regarded as the most distinguished 8th century building in all of Limerick. It's an elegant Palladian style building that was built by an Italian architect named Davis Ducart back in 1765. John Hunt, who kind of assembled the gallery because it was previously a private collection, was extremely interested in early Christian art and artifacts. So the museum has different religious items ranging from rosary beds to statues ranging in size and in region. So let's see if we can pull up a picture. Yeah, so this is one of the religious pieces in the art collection, which is quite extensive. So as you can see, this area offers a lot in terms of climate, animals, birds that you can kind of see, as well as pretty cool things to do in the city. So I recommend taking a trip to Shannon if you can.